morning. Oh, I love it. Okay, now where are my seniors? And where are the first years and the transfers? Okay, good. I think you've been practicing or something. So good morning. I'm Ann Dobmeyer. I'm the Dean of Research and Academic Resources, and it's my privilege to welcome you to Convocation 2018. Yeah, wow, 18. Convocation celebrates the beginning of the academic year at college campuses all over the country. We come together, students, faculty, staff, and members of the administration, to mark the beginning of another year in the academy. To our new students, you recently learned about the importance of academic integrity to our community, and you signed the pledge to be ethical in word and deed. The seniors signed that pledge when they entered Bay Path, and we hope that they have been true to its charge. It's an important part of our character, our fiber, and our community. Seniors today, you're wearing two parts of your regalia, the robe and the mortarboard. At commencement in May, you will add your hoods, signifying the achievement of the baccalaureate degree. And this year, we will continue the tradition we started many years ago of allowing the seniors to wear the robes during the last week of classes in the spring. If you want to do that, that's great. You just see all those people on the campus, and they have all their robes. So do that if you want to. As you know, our campus theme this year is Be Curious. Our quote is from Stephen Hawking. When he was 21 years old, he contracted a motor neuron disease, and he was given 2 years to live. But he went on to Cambridge University. He became a brilliant researcher and is regarded as one of the most brilliant theoretical physicists since Einstein. He didn't die at 23. He died this year, 76. 76. If you don't know about Stephen Hawking, Google him. Yeah, that brief time of history. So open your program and read with me his quote. Remember with me, thank you. I don't want to do this by myself, okay? Remember to look up at the stars and not down at your feet. Try to make sense of what you see and wonder about what makes the universe exist. Be curious, and however difficult life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at. It matters that you don't just give up. Okay, thank you. Nice job. So, be passionate about your education. Make it yours in partnership with your faculty. That's what you're here to do, and their job is to help you. Today, you'll hear from our speaker, Gina Ravella, an alumna, 2006, and she will share with us how she became curious. And now, before the faculty processional, we're going to look at some of the years in the picture. Maybe you will see yourself. Please rise as the faculty and the guests process in and remain standing for the invocation.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Pram McGrath, and today, well, as you all know, today is the 17th anniversary of September 11th. For many of you, you have never lived in our nation before September 11th, and many say that things have changed. This past Sunday at my congregation in worship, we remembered a young woman, 24 years old, named Jeannie Roget, who worked for American Airlines and who died that day. We brought flowers and we prayed for her family and we prayed for all of those who had lost family and we prayed for our nation. We prayed that we not let this kind of violence overshadow the goodness that we know exists and the love in our world. This week I read a story from 9/11 by a commercial pilot who said that he was in the air when the two planes struck the Twin Towers. And they were told immediately to find somewhere to land, the closest airport. They turned back from the direction they were headed and went 400 miles to Gander, Newfoundland. Do you know where Newfoundland is? To Gander, Newfoundland. And they still didn't know what had happened until they were almost on the ground. Planes from all over the world ended up landing in Gander. Gander's a little town of about 10,400, and there were 10,500 passengers stranded there. Most of them stayed on their planes for over 12 hours. When they were finally taken off, they all went to Red Cross facilities. Essentially, Gander and the little town near it, Lewisport, had taken every building and facility they owned. All the schools shut down, the halls, the meeting places, and they all became places where those passengers would be kept, would be fed, would be cared for the next few days. The elderly were taken into people's homes. Bakeries worked round the clock to feed everybody who had landed there. People brought food from home. People were taken to restaurants and allowed to have whatever they wanted. Laundries opened up so they could wash their clothes. They couldn't get their suitcases off the plane for all the time they were there. And then Well, then the people began taking them on hikes and sightseeing trips. To pass the time, they showed them the place they live. Doctors and nurses and dentists took care of them. Those people spent days in Gander and Lewisport, days that they were afraid because they didn't know what was happening, and yet some strangers took them in. The pilot who wrote this story said that when all of his passengers finally reboarded his plane, they all knew each other by name. They were all shaking hands, they'd traded telephone numbers, they had really bonded. They had all been taken to Lewisport where they were cared for. One of the men stood up and said to the pilot, "Can I speak on the PA system?" And the pilot said, "Normally I would never allow that." But suddenly everything was different. And so he handed the man the microphone and he said, "I think we all know that we have been loved and cared for, that strangers have gone out of their way to help us and have given of everything they had, themselves and their resources to care for us, and I want to do something for Lewisport." All the high school students in Lewisport didn't go to school during that time, but they had to volunteer, taking care of the passengers the entire time. And so he said, "I'd like to start a scholarship for those high school students." And all the other passengers began passing money and notes for money and promises. A doctor from Virginia on the plane promised to match anything that was raised. They contacted Delta Airline, the plane that they were on, and they too kicked into that scholarship fund. $1.5 million was raised. 135 students, high school students, from this little bit of a no place in Newfoundland have all attended college, and many more are still in college because of this. When I was a little girl, I used to watch Mr. Rogers. I know, I even had a cardigan. Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, used to say that when he was afraid and something bad was happening, he'd run to his mother and she would say, "It's okay, Fred. It's okay. This is something that's difficult that's happening, but when it happens, just look around. Look around, Fred. There are always helpers." Today, as we remember all of those who lost their lives and the families whose lives were changed, as I remember 24-year-old Jeannie Roget, I encourage all of you to do the same, to remember and to look for the helpers and to go one step further, because that's who you really are, to be the helpers. I find that as clergy, people usually come to see me when they feel dispirited or when they confuse success and owning things as their goal for what really we are hungry for, which is relationship and connection. See, humans are made to be in relationship. And this year, you are going to work hard because that's who you are. But I encourage you not to neglect your spiritual need for connection to others and for something deeper. If you find yourself dispirited, my advice to you is, and my prayer to you is, that you become a helper, that you find someone to help, because it will put you in touch with who you are deeper, who you have always been. We're often faced with the madness of violence, but don't let it blind you to the goodness and compassion that is all around us. My prayer for you all, look for the helpers, be the helpers, and may you be blessed. Amen.
Please be seated. Pam, thank you for your presence here today and for that powerful reminder of the significance of today for each of us today and going forward. And good morning to each of you, and welcome to Academic Convocation 2018. Now, I'm going to start with a question. How many of you joined several of us for the Campus Awakening 2 weeks ago? Wow, look at this. I think we had the biggest senior class turnout ever. Give yourselves a hand, seniors. So those of you who were there in the early hours of the morning had a taste of the tradition that is such an integral part of the college experience. You will remember on that morning we lit our candles, we walked together to wake up each of our campus buildings, we sang together with Bobby Tomasulo as we faced the east, the rising sun, and we ended our walk at Deepwood Circle. And in my comments that morning, I talked about the significance of the circle for capturing what it means to be a member of the Bay Path community. Now, our faculty and staff know that I talk about this every year. And the reason that I talk about this is because I deeply believe that understanding and claiming one's place within this community, within this circle, is so very important for your sense of well-being now, but also as you eventually go forward from this place. This is important for you as students, but it's also important for us as faculty and staff to understand our place and to claim our place in this very special community, this circle known as Bay Path University. Now, class of 2022, you are a part of something that is very special and significant. And the point to remember is that wherever you go from this place, you're always going to be a member of this community. You will always be a member of this circle. And you will have access to networks and to relationships that extend well beyond this time and this place. Seniors, class of 2019, I hope that this thought and this reminder of your place here will give you comfort, as most of you will be going out from Bay Path and embarking upon the next leg of your journey. Now, in today's convocation, you're experiencing more tradition. For example, our faculty and our platform guests are dressed in academic regalia. This is a tradition that dates way, way back to the medieval universities of Europe, where the students were actually required to wear their robes to class every day. At the end of today's program, you're going to participate in our donning of the cap ceremony ritual. And during this part of the program, we will formally induct our new students into the Bay Path University learning community by asking you collectively to take those caps that you're holding in your laps and to place them on your heads. And as you don your caps this morning for the very first time, you join with college students and faculty in a tradition that is more than 800 years old and that signifies a very important rite of passage. A passage into a community of which you are a member with responsibilities for developing yourself and your mind to the fullest extent possible. So here at the outset of this new academic year, there are two things that I want to urge each of you to consider. First, I want you to consider the men and women who sit behind me on this stage and who are your faculty. These are your partners in your learning journey. They are your advocates. We are enormously blessed at Bay Path to have faculty who are committed to teaching. They are committed to your success. And as our seniors will tell you, they care deeply about helping you discover and developing your full potential. During the donning of the cap ceremony, your faculty will surround you by standing in the aisles on either side as you recite the affirmation and the response. And this too is symbolic of the role that they will play in supporting you over the next several years. Your faculty are keenly interested in getting to know you, and I urge you to reach out and to get to know at least one faculty member really, really well this semester. I can assure you that if you are bold enough to ask one of our faculty members to meet you for coffee or to have lunch with you in Blake, is there any one of you that would say no? No. So be bold, reach out after class and say, the provost said I was supposed to ask you to have coffee. And I can assure you, they would love to have that opportunity to get to know you better. Tap their knowledge, their experience, use their networks. First-year and transfer students, begin talking to your faculty now about internship possibilities, grad school, summer jobs, research opportunities. You are not in this alone. Each of you has access to a community that is so much bigger than you realize today. And it starts with your getting to know these men and women behind me who are here for you. Now, secondly, an important part of the Bay Path experience is our university theme program. Many of you have already been exposed to this year's theme, which is, what is the theme? All right, you got it. Now, what is it about curiosity that would lead us to dedicate an entire year to learning about and talking about curiosity? Well, a great deal has been written, especially in the last few years, about the power of curiosity. For example, the most recent Harvard Business Review had as its lead cover article, Why Curiosity Matters. And in this article, the authors talk about how critical curiosity is for organizations like colleges and universities, and that organizations that nurture curiosity actually have a better chance of being successful from a financial perspective. Well, curiosity has also been found to be very helpful to college students. For example, when you are actively curious, your mind is more alert. You're much more likely to learn deeper, to retain what you're learning, and to do better in class, to get better grades. I read a wonderful little book a few years ago called A Curious Mind, The Secret to a Bigger Life by Brian Grazer. Now, you may not have heard of Brian Grazer, but I can bet you are familiar with his 200-plus films and movies that he's produced over his lifetime. He's probably the most successful producer of our time. Brian Grazer started at the very bottom. He had absolutely nothing in his early life. He grew up in a very poor family. Nothing in his early life that would suggest the kind of success that he would go on to have and his career trajectory. In his book, he credits curiosity with the incredible success that he's had in his life. He's produced, as I said, nearly 200 films. Many of them are blockbuster hits like A Beautiful Mind, Apollo 13, 8 Mile, Empire, The Spy Who Dumped Me, and many, many more. At an early age, he developed this practice that he calls curiosity conversations. He made a point, and he was very shy, so it's really remarkable that he came up with this, but he made a point at an early age to begin having curiosity conversations, to go out of his comfort zone, to get to know the people who came into his life, who crossed his path each and every day, from janitors to mailroom clerks to accidental sidewalk meetings. He put aside his fears about looking silly, and when he asked people questions, and he soon found that these conversations opened doors that he could have never imagined, including his eventual partnership with the legendary actor and director Ron Howard, who with him produced those 200-plus films and movies. Grazer suggests that each of us is confronted every day with a similar world of opportunities, most of which pass us by because we're either afraid to reach out to someone we don't know, we don't want to look silly, or we're going through the day on autopilot, tethered to our devices, and we miss those opportunities that may, in fact, be game-changing for us. So here's the important point in all of this. What he did is not rocket science. Each of us can do the same thing. Each of us has the potential to create a curious life which can open up a world that you can only now begin to imagine. But it starts with practicing curiosity on a small scale. So this is my second and final point. At the outset of this new year, I want to encourage each of you to cultivate a sense of curiosity about the people that you meet, the experiences that you're having. For example, first-year students, you're all taking Well 100. Your Well 100 faculty are a fascinating group of people. For example, did you know that Maria Arroyo has written and published poems in German, which is her third language? Or that Courtney Patrick Weber is a horror film buff and an avid runner? Or that Sandra Haddad plays a keyless wooden flute in Irish music bands and her 10-piece band won a Battle of the Bands contest in Athens, Georgia. Is this cool or not? Melina Rudman has created an unofficial, I'm not sure what that means, mini farm in her backyard where she grows fruits, vegetables, herbs, and flowers. Or what about Sarah Salvaggi Hernandez, who is a barefooter? She has taken many, many barefoot hikes, prefers to drive without shoes, and only wears shoes when absolutely necessary, which I think is today. I think she's wearing them today. She loves being grounded. That's where that comes from. Andrea Hickson is a 2-time Athletic Hall of Fame inductee for both her high school and her college athletic prowess. Ashley Martins is a certified Zumba instructor who was the first in her family to go to college. And last but certainly not least, Kevin Barlowski. Whoa. Kevin Barlowski was once stranded in Thailand for 2 whole months after an acting job went horribly awry. Now, did you know any of this about your Well 100 instructors? No. So promise me the next time your Well 100 course meets that you ask them to tell you more about these little tidbits. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Every single faculty member that you have, every student in this hall, you and the students on either side of you, has an interesting story to tell. And if you take Brian Grazer's suggestion to heart, to engage in curiosity conversations, to reach out, ask questions, get to know the people all around you, get to know their stories, you will find that you have incredible power to shape your own experience on this campus, to discover a world that you may not realize is there, and to prepare yourself for a world that is rich with possibilities for each and every one of you. We are a community of learners and leaders. We are a diverse community made up of people with a vast array of stories and experiences. And we are responsible for each other's success and well-being. This is your community. You are Bay Path. Be curious, claim this community as your own, and make it the best year ever. It is now my pleasure to introduce and welcome to the podium your president, Dr. Carol Leary.
Oh, what, Reverend McGrath and Dr. Morris Olson, those comments were so beautifully, beautifully delivered. The message from both these extraordinary women really is why we're together. Will you help me thank these 2 women? Thank you so much. Beautifully, beautifully written, delivered. The message on convocation is so important for us to listen to. I know in our classes and in our daily life, we sometimes enjoy talking more than listening. But I hope today, on this very special tradition of Bay Path, that you'll listen to these messages because they will become a part of how you think and how you will act. So my thanks to both of you. Tremendous. Reverend McGrath, you started us today remembering September 11th. And I would like all of us to just pause, take a moment, and let us think back to September 11th, what it meant that day to those who were present, and then what we will do to fight hard for community, for love in our world. A moment of silence. Thank you for remembering those who perished on that day. And Melissa, I'm going to link to what you started with in terms of today being a very important tradition at Bay Path. The Academy is really what we're celebrating. And I want all of you to help me thank our faculty who lead you every day on a journey of the mind. Will you help me do that? Thank you to our faculty. As Melissa said, extraordinarily committed to your success, to everything you learn on a daily basis. And the juxtaposition of having convocation now, and then in about an hour, we're gathered in the Blake for lunch and some fun, campus day. And that is really the message of today. We start with the reason you came, the mind. You came here to learn, to study, to follow your heart, to look into yourself and determine where your future may be with a profession. Or maybe you're here because you're curious. You don't know quite what that major will be, but you're here to learn. And then we end our time together having some fun. And if you put those two things together, you're going to have a wonderful journey at Bay Path University. Whether it's for 1 year as a transfer student, 1 year as a senior, or 4 years as one of our first-year students. So let me look into the eyes of our seniors, because as I see you in your caps and gowns, here's what I see. I see athletes who have worked very hard on their teams and have been very successful. I see entrepreneurs, students who have taken the chance of writing a business plan for either a class or for the Grinspoon competition. I see helpers, another word that Reverend McGrath used. Those are our students who are going maybe into occupational therapy or child psychology or forensic psychology. I see scientists who will go into labs and cure cancer, work with the elderly in a medical facility. All of you have been at Bay Path for one reason: to really nurture your souls, your learning souls. And so for the seniors, I say to you, make this the best year of your life. Enjoy every moment and take every opportunity. To our first-year students and to our transfers, here's what I see. I see budding performers who will be on this stage. Some of you will be singing, some of you will be dancing, and some of you will be acting. I see students who are very interested in criminal justice and law, who will be studying very hard because they have decided these are the fields where they can make a true difference in the lives who need it most. All of our first year and transfer students came here because of someone, some major, and now you have the opportunity with a clean slate to start your journey at Bay Path. So as our seniors and as our first years and transfers today, Convocation is all about you. So let me just share that we are merely facilitators in your learning. We are not always the experts. We may have read a few more books or studied a few more subjects than you have. But I believe the word that our provost used is partners. We are your partners in learning. We are your facilitators. We are here to learn from you as well as you are here to learn from us. You will learn from your peers. On either side of you is a budding artist. Maybe there's an attorney next to you or a doctor. You will learn from each other. But let's make sure that our community is one of inclusiveness, respect, and kindness. If that happens at Bay Path this year and for all your years as first years and transfers, we are very fortunate to be in this community. So my wish for you today and throughout the year will be this: to be very curious, Be thirsty for knowledge and be grateful that you have talented, committed members of our faculty to work with you and to serve you. To live by our motto, Carpe Diem. The quote that I'm about to read is from someone that I have not been able to determine, but I love it. I don't regret the things I've done. I regret the things I didn't do when I had the chance. That's the Carpe Diem attitude. And then finally, contribute. Contribute to making Bay Path a welcoming community, an inclusive community for all of us. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees, Jonathan Bessie. Jonathan, yep, good. Jonathan, we're going to give you an applause, but I'm going to tell you why Jonathan is a fantastic trustee. Come on up, Jonathan. There are the 3 T's of being a trustee: talent, time, and treasure. And this is a gentleman that has given to Bay Path his time, his talent, and his treasure. But what I love about him more than anything else, I love his attitude. He is never without a smile. He is never without a great idea, but most of all, he is never without a compliment. He is always saying to our students, "You did a great job." To our faculty, "Thank you." That is so important in life. And with that, I give you the Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees of Bay Path, Jonathan Bessie.
Wow, now I got something to live up to here. I actually considered giving up my time because I really want to hear more about Kevin's Thailand story. So, regardless. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So on behalf of Pat Pierce, who's the chair of our Board of Trustees, and a wonderful one at that, and myself, and honestly on behalf of all of the board members, just a simple, quick message of congratulations and a message of gratitude. So let's start with congratulations. So first of all, to this crowd here in the front in their caps and gowns, congratulations. You made it, nice. One more year to go. Obviously, it was hard work to get here, I'm sure. It probably didn't seem, well, maybe it did. Maybe it seemed a long time ago that you were sitting in the back of the room. Or maybe it seemed like it was yesterday, but regardless, you had to work hard to get here, and congratulate you on getting this far. And I look forward to 8 or 9 months from now when we're in a similar setting at the Mass Mutual Center, and we'll be congratulating you in a much different way. So enjoy your year. And then to all of our first years, congratulations. Just quick show of hands, how many of you are transfers out of the first year crowd? Wow, that's awesome. Thank you for being here. And whatever reason that you decided to transfer from your old institution to ours, we're thankful that you did, and whatever was missing there, hopefully we can fill that void to you. I'm pretty certain that we can. But to all of you, whether it's you're coming from high school or you're coming from another institution, it's a big step, right? And it takes a lot of courage to take that step, to come to college, to come to Bay Path. And honestly, I admire that courage. And so congratulations on taking that step. And I think you're going to have an awesome experience here. And we look forward to seeing you over the years. So now to gratitude. And I don't know if it's unusual or not, but as a board, we often talk about gratitude because we honestly believe we have a lot to be thankful for. And it starts at the top. We have by far the finest president of a college on the planet. And she's right here in Longmeadow. Exactly. So we are thankful every single day that we have Dr. Leary at the helm. And Dr. Olson and the team that she's assembled, and the staff and the executive staff and everyone else that helps make this place run. We couldn't be more thankful for all that you do, because we know what goes in, and you do the work of a team of twice your size. And so we thank you for that. To this crowd who, I don't know, words do not describe the work that you guys do, the commitment, the dedication, and truly we are blessed to have every single one of you, and we thank you for everything that you're going to do for all of these students. So thank you. And then to you, because all of this doesn't matter if you're not here. So we're actually honestly thankful for you. You know, whether you've been here for 3 years or whether you just got here, at some point you had a choice of where you were going to spend your college years. And you chose us, right? And we're grateful for that. And you put your trust in us, and we're grateful for that. And so we want to thank you all for choosing us and being a part of this community that we have here, which we all believe is very special. But it all starts with you. You're the heart and soul of this community, as Dr. Leary said. So we thank you for being a part of that. So first years, one thing that hopefully, well, you might not know yet, but hopefully the seniors do know. You have a team behind you. You have your peers, as Dr. Olson said. You have this crowd. You have Dr. Leary. You have the deans. You have everyone. You have the board, right? And as a group, right, we are behind you. And our sole mission, right, here is to make you successful, to hopefully have the best college experience that you can possibly have, and hopefully to get you prepared for the next step in your life. This is just a step along the way, right? And that next one's the important one, and we want to try to help prepare you as best we can. So thank you for coming here. Thank you for being a part of our community. I guess I can commit on behalf of all of us, we will not let you down. So thank you. Oh, sorry. One last message. My son just went to college, and so the words I left him with were departing of work hard, ask for help when you need it, because you've got the help behind you. Have a little fun along the way. And everything else will take care of itself. All right, thank you.
That was great, Jonathan. And I have to say, I thought there may have been a slight tear there, knowing that your son is off to college. Having, seen you just before he left, I know this is probably a joyous moment, but a little bit sad. There are a couple of people that I am going to single out. Ann Dobmeyer and Jody Baker have done a fabulous job, and I know they have a team behind them. Let's give every one of them our appreciation for Convocation. Now, the best part of the program is really the introduction of our Convocation speaker, who is always a Bay Path alumna. She sat in this room just like you 12 years ago. And I remember her so well, and I'll tell you what I remembered about Gina Ravella. I remembered her eyes, so when Ann told me she was selected from, think of it, 15,000 alumni to speak, I remembered her eyes and her smile the first time I ever saw her. And then when I saw her perform on our stage as one of our best dancers and as a member of the theater arts program, I thought to myself, wow, where Gina has come. And then I remembered this most of all. It was her positive attitude. And for me, attitude is everything. So with that, I'm going to embarrass her. She sent a little tiny paragraph this big about what she had done in 12 years. Too modest, way too modest. So I have it this big. And so I want you to sit back, think of Gina Ravella, and try and put yourself in this student's shoes from the moment she entered to today. Gina is originally from Schenectady, New York, where she began dancing in her family-owned dance studio, Dance Works Unlimited. She's been studying a wide variety of dance disciplines for 30 years, and she began teaching and choreographing at the age of 14. She has choreographed numerous recital and competition numbers, several of which have won awards and overall high scores. After graduating from high school in 2002, she came to Bay Path, and we were very lucky that she did. She received a BA with honors in legal studies. And this is an important message for today. She was a legal studies major, but when she left, she followed her passion. And that's a very important lesson for all of us. When she was here, as I said, she headed up the dance company every year during her career at Bay Path. She did the choreography for the college's annual performing arts concert, which we still do today. She taught many dance classes, and she was under the direction of a wonderful director of performing arts, Lee Ciaglo. She played many major roles in our community musical theater productions, even in Northampton and Ludlow, in addition to the Bay Path stage. And she was a member of our volleyball team, earning the MVP for 3 consecutive years in a row. After graduating from Bay Path in 2006, and I want you to listen to this because this is an extraordinary accomplishment for anyone at 22 anywhere in our country. She moved to New York City, where she was accepted into the MFA program at the New School for Drama, among 28 students selected from around the world. From New York City, she moved to beautiful Sarasota, Florida, where she is currently the artistic director for Stage Door Studios, the biggest and most prominent dance studio in the city. She is also a choreographer of musical theater around the area, a director and a performer, so she does it all. She worked to earn the position of choreographer to Tony Award-winning Ben Vereen for his directorial debut of Hair in Venice, Florida. And Gina, just a little tidbit. I met Ben Vereen about a month ago in New York City when Smokey Joe's Cafe came back for a reprisal, and he was, I think, part of Smokey Joe's Cafe many years prior. She has most recently received a coveted industry dance award for her hip hop. How many of you know hip hop? How many of you do hip hop? Okay. For her hip hop choreography out in Los Angeles. She's appeared in commercials, TV shows, and movies such as Claws, Burn Notice, Magic Mike, and Guiding Light. She continues to evolve as both a dancer and a choreographer by attending classes in LA, New York City, and Orlando, receiving instruction by some of the top name people in the industry. She is beloved by her industry. Let's welcome Gina Ravella.
Wow, that makes me exhausted just hearing all of it. Hello, how we doing? Hanging in? All right. Yes, I'm in the arts. Yes, I'm a very passionate person, so hopefully this will be interesting for you. Again, my name is Gina Ravella from Schenectady, New York. Is there someone else from Schenectady? Yeah! Hello! All right, so I am here because your theme this year is Be Curious. And me coming to Bay Path, being in the legal studies department, finding my way again to dance and theater, and then, following my heart with that, that is part of my message for you today. So I'm going to start I'm going to make this as short and sweet as possible. I'm going to start a little bit from the beginning, like President Leary had said. My mother owned a dance studio in Schenectady, New York, so I really didn't have a choice. I was dancing. And for the most part, I mean, I loved it. I love dance, but, you know, it's always in your life, so you're like, oh, I have to do it. I have to do it. So grew up dancing, worked at the business, got good grades in school. My mom was always on me. Get good grades. You're not going to college unless you get a scholarship. Get good grades. I'm like, all right, fine. So I did. Got the grades. Went into mock trial. I want to bring you, how did I even choose legal studies? How does that work? Where does that fit in? The short of it is I got into mock trial. I love research. I love arguing. I loved standing up in a courtroom and arguing that I'm right, with facts behind me, of course. And that is where, you know, my love of law came into play. You know, and I'm sure many of you can relate as well. Even though my mom was in the arts, she didn't really want that life for me. It's a difficult life. Most actors and dancers are working contract to contract. They're not really salaried. But as if any of you are in the arts, as you know, it's part of your soul. It takes over. So it always finds you again. So I regress. How did I choose Bay Path? Today is 9/11. And I was a senior in high school when the Twin Towers went down. I had plane tickets to go to Tampa University. Check it out. Then 9/11 happened. And of course, my mom was like, nope, that's not happening. We're not getting on a plane. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I agree. That's fine. Back to square one. What am I doing? I'm getting pamphlets in the mail from Bay Path. And I'm like, all girls school? Nope. Not happening. Not happening. And then an admissions counselor came to my high school, Mahonison High School in Rotterdam, New York, and my guidance counselor was like, Gina, you really should meet with this person. I really think that you should take another look at Bay Path. I'm like, fine, I'm there. So I went, met with her. She talked me into doing an overnight visitation to the school where my application would be processed and I would have an interview and see if I got any scholarships, you know, the whole nine. So I came here. The campus is beautiful. You can't deny that the campus is beautiful. Came here, and something about Bay Path, and it sounds so cliche, it was a home away from home. Like, I felt like I was home. Did the overnight. The next day, like, I knew most of the professors on campus. I was like, all right, I can take over this school. This is fine. I could be here. So, and then they had dance, you know, as, you know, not a major or anything, but I could still keep it up because I wanted to keep it in my life because it was a part of me. But the legal studies program was really what got me here. I was like, wow, ABA accredited, like it's top notch, and I will be prepared for my LSATs and for law school. So that's where my journey into the legal studies program began. Obviously, I get into the school because I graduated. So Bay Path College turned me around, and you may or may not know this already. Being an all-women's college, now it's a university, you just don't know that empowerment that you need and that you receive here as a group of women. And I hate to say this, but it's still true. Being out in the working world as a woman, you're still fighting. You're still fighting to be heard. Most of the time you have to prove yourself before you're taken seriously, especially if you have a good mind and you're least bit attractive, which everybody in this room is. So I'm just telling you right now, you have to keep that work ethic. You have to stay true to who you are. And yeah, you prove the points all the time. Yes. Yep. But I learned that here. The legal studies program here, there was, I don't know, 13, 15, 18 of us in a class. We would sit around in that class, and Attorney Dobbmeyer's hair is a little bit grayer because we would sit in class and we would just debate, and no, this is why this. It was amazing. But it was good conversation. It was good debating. We were fueling each other. We were pushing each other. We wanted everybody, each one of us, we wanted each other to succeed. And that is where my work ethic has come from. It's from being in that room and feeling empowered and wanting to empower other people, not getting jealous or hating on other women who are succeeding, being like, yes, she killed that. Keep going. What's next? Okay? So, from legal studies, I'm doing my thing. I try out for the volleyball team. I make it. Cool, I'm playing volleyball, getting my exercise in. I am taking dance classes because I wanted to keep that in my life. We had kickboxing on campus, we had yoga, I did all that stuff. I'm a very active person. And then slowly but surely, I began to get more into the theater program here and dancing, and I was like, it took me a minute. I was like, wait a minute. What's happening? This arts have found me again. I wasn't chasing after it. I was supposed to be a lawyer. I was supposed to go to law school. I was supposed to do all the things. So I'm like, wait a minute. So I ended up spending the majority of my time when I wasn't studying or napping. Napping is how I got through college. I'm not kidding. Napping. Yes. So I would be in the theater. I did everything. I did costumes. I did painting. I built sets. I had my first lead role on this stage because I was always terrified to audition for an actual singing / speaking part because I was a dancer. And I started to really develop a love and appreciation, not even develop because it was always there. It was cultivated. It was nurtured here. And President Leary mentioned Lee Siaglo, who was one of my mentors here, and she's no longer with us on this planet. But she, along with the professors here on campus, held that bar up here, and they were not lowering it. You were expected to reach that because everybody can. It's all in us. So every day I'd be like, okay, what can I do better? What's next? Okay, I'm getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to volleyball practice at 5:30. Then I get back from volleyball. Then I have an 8 a.m. law class with Attorney Dobbmeyer. And then I take a nap. And then I get up and then I do my homework, and this is my day. And then I would be here in the theater till sometimes 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, getting it done, making sure the productions were, getting to that next level. And then, Lee would call me and be like, can you teach one of the classes for me today? I'm like, what? Again? Like, okay, yeah, I'm teaching. Okay, that's fine, I'll teach. So teaching led to choreographing. And I would choreograph routines here for the concerts. And I was like, I loved it. I loved every second. And I was being pushed to be the best version of myself, pushing myself beyond my comfort zone, which is where we grow, which is outside of our comfort zone. That's where you grow as a human. So I was being pushed. And I rose to the occasion. It was not easy. But I did. So, being here at Bay Path, the professors, and they're not lying, they're here for you all the time. All the time. Make sure your advisor is one of your good friends. Because, yes, I started experimenting. I was in theater, I was in dance, but I also experimented with my classes. So I'd go to my advisor, I'd be like, all right, how many credits of, legal stuff do I have to put on my, card for this semester? How much is left over? What else can I take? I took French. I took filmography. I took Legends of King Arthur. I took archaeology. I took all kinds of things because I was like, I really wanted to learn more. And the more that I learned, I mean, it just helped me grow. And that helped me figure out, Gina, what are you doing in legal studies? Yes, you love it. Yes, it's preparing you. But your passion and your heart lies with the arts. So when my friends were taking the LSATs, I was auditioning for MFA programs. And let me tell you, first of all, that was a struggle because, grandparents, parents are like, what is happening? You're getting your degree in law. You're paying all this money. What is happening? I'll get there in a second. So when I got into the New School for Drama, I was working at a bar downtown in Springfield, at a martini bar. And I get the call. I literally ran up and down the street, like screaming victoriously, like that is how you should feel. That excitement, that is what you need to feel in your life. If you feel that, you're doing something right. You're on the right track. You're on the right track. So, I got into the New School for Drama. Sweet. Moved to New York City. Awesome. Have a little teeny apartment with 5 people. 4 of which didn't speak English. So I'm in New York. I'm doing the thing. I'm acting, learning, movement, all these, things. I'm like, all right, cool. This is cool. What am I going to do with my MFA? I don't want to be in school right now. I want to be doing. I want to be in it. I learn a lot from doing, which is another reason why I came to Bay Path, because you're just involved all the time. You have to be. So the program itself wasn't where I was supposed to be. In the interim, I had my mom who had moved down to Sarasota, Florida. And when people say Florida, like a retirement community, I'm not moving there ever, not living there. Well, it turns out Sarasota, Florida is pretty artsy. And I didn't know that. So I was sitting in one of my history classes in New York, my theater history classes, and they started talking about the Oslo Conservatory and the Oslo Theater, which is in Sarasota, Florida. And at that point, I was kind of going back and forth. I was like, do I want to stay here? Is this going to serve me? There's a billion other people trying to do the same thing I'm trying to do. I don't know what to do. I was going through that. So I was sitting in that class, and the minute they said Sarasota, Florida, I'm like, peace, I'm out. That's my sign. That's my sign, universe. And I left. I left. In a week, I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm leaving. Went to Sarasota, Florida, and I've been doing my thing ever since. Now, legal studies, because I have to bring it back to that, because I teach 600 kids how to dance. And I tell them this all the time. They're like, Miss Gina, you majored in legal studies? I'm like, yeah. So legal studies, the minute I left New York, I went down to Sarasota, Florida. First job, paralegal. I was like, I might as well use this degree. And to be honest with you, I was over-prepared to be a paralegal. Like, the program here set me up for success. I was doing insurance defense, which I would never do again. But I was putting my degree to good use while I got, settled and figured out where I wanted to be, what I wanted to be doing. So that's what I did. So I'm doing my paralegal work. I'm auditioning for shows. Yes, I did movies. Yes, Channing Tatum is super nice. He's a really good personality. But I was living my dream. I was doing what I wanted to do. And my law degree was actually, when I was approached to see if I wanted to be an artistic director at a dance studio, my law degree is part of the reason why I was asked. I'm dealing with contracts every day. People signing up for dance. I Yes, I deal with dance moms. I deal with slander and libel. You still deal with that stuff. So, I mean, it never leaves you. It never leaves you. Whatever you choose to do. So, the point of all of this is, and now I'm back here. I'm back here again. And I'm so honored to be here. Like, I was on campus, I'm like videoing, I'm like, hey, Bay Path. I loved it here. I still do. This program, it made me the woman I am today because it helped me evolve. I'm constantly evolving. Your Be Curious doesn't end after you leave here. It has to stay with you throughout life. Otherwise, you're going to be a robot. You're going to get up, you're going to go to work, you're going to come home, maybe go to the gym, go back to sleep, wake up, do it all over again the next day. And that's not the life I wanted to live. So I'm constantly looking and I'm constantly pushing myself to that next level, surrounding myself with people who see that potential and who I feel empowered by and who I want to empower. And that has led to many, many great things in my life. And apparently I never give myself enough credit. So use your faculty. They are always here. If you make that connection with a professor, hold on to it because they will see you through. Always. I wish for you guys, not wish, I want you to have dreams for yourselves. It really does sound cliche and stupid. But if you don't have them, you won't know what else you're capable of. But you need to have a plan of action because a dream without a plan is just a wish. So, be curious, go after it, figure it out. There's no rule that says things are permanent in your life. You can change anything. Like me, if I was a legal studies major, do I have to go to law school? No, I don't have to go to law school. Who says? Society? No. I can do more. I can do something else. My happiness and what I want trumps what everybody else wants. Always. Okay? And I made my life. I made my life, and I'm not done. I'm directing my first show this year. That was next on my bucket list. But I'll tell you what, none of that would have been possible if I didn't get the confidence that I built here at Bay Path, if I didn't get pushed here at Bay Path, if I didn't have professors believing in me more than I believed in myself at that time. That is why you are here. And that is what you need to do. So whether you're a senior or incoming, it doesn't end here. You can always utilize all of these tools. The more tools you have in your belt, the better. So I humbly thank you for allowing me to share my story with you. I hope that you find some motivation or some spark, and I hope that you follow that spark. Because sometimes, I'm sure you know, it gets pretty dim sometimes, so you gotta figure out how to find it again. So do it. Just do it. Hold yourself up to that standard. Have good work ethic. Do not take the easy way out. The easy way out never works. You gotta work. You gotta work for it. So thank you very much for allowing me to speak. Thank you very much for having me. And have a great year, everybody.
Wow, Gina, I cannot imagine a better person to speak to us today. Your life story illustrates the power of curiosity in such powerful ways. We are so proud of you. So please join me again in thanking her. So we are now at that place in the program where we will formally induct our incoming class into the Bay Path University community of learners during the next few minutes, while our Director of Performing Arts activities, Bobby Tomasulo, plays a little musical interlude. Our faculty will rise and go down to the main floor, while Megan Mackey and Lisa Sykop join me here at the podium. Okay. Okay, you guys ready? Yes. Yes. All right. As soon as he stops playing. Okay, I am pleased to introduce our senior delegate, Megan Mackey. And our first year representative, Lisa Sykop. They will help lead the induction of our new students. On behalf of the senior class, these are the instructions. Megan will ask her classmates to stand, to turn around, and to face the first year students, and will lead you all in reading aloud the senior affirmation that you will find in your program. Then following the senior affirmation, the new students will stand, and Lisa will lead you all in reading aloud the response, which is also found in the program. So, Megan.
Okay, so she made it pretty easy for me. Seniors, will you please stand and turn and face the first years and transfers? All right, together, let's begin. Welcome to Bay Path's learning community. We invite you to join us in building the road for women of leadership who bring social justice through the 21st century. We are self-motivated problem posers and problem solvers inside and outside the classroom. We are partners with faculty in curiosity and in a hunger for knowledge. Faculty and students recognize and foster the lifelong learning through dialogue and partnership wherever we go to bring about just and educated communities. Thank you.
All right, can all the first years and transfers please stand up and join me in responding to our seniors? All right, we have been woken to your call to self-initiated learning. We will help build the road for women of leadership who bring social justice through the 21st century. It begins at Bay Path University with learning and community. It will go on forever. Thank you.
So new students, we now invite you to take those caps and to place them on your heads as we all join together in welcoming you into the Bay Path University community of empowered learners and leaders. I want to ask you to sit down for just a couple of minutes for a very brief video presentation.
I don't think there's a specific thing that I can really pinpoint when it comes to being curious.
A lot of my curiosity actually started in high school. I wanted to study abroad. And then Bay Path, they gave me the avenues to go wherever I wanted. For me, that was Australia.
The most adventurous thing that I've done at Bay Path would have to be doing one of the longest monologues my first time doing vagina monologues. I've never acted in my life.
No, never mind. I can't talk to you about this. What's a smart girl like you going around talking to old ladies about their down hairs for?
Like, people figured out what an atom was. Like, people didn't know those existed, and they got curious and they explored.
Which I mean is why I went into science, because I'm always wanting to learn more.
Well, why is the sky blue? Well, why do you look different from me? And that's how I got into genetics.
It's beautiful when it all comes together. You learn what you wanted to learn, and you find that answer.
I made a promise to myself that once I came to Bay Path, I was gonna try things at least once. Because, you know, traveling to different places, like the softball team going to North Carolina, there might be different foods, like grits. Never tried that. Tried it for the first time, ended up being amazing. It's really hard to pinpoint one specific thing to be curious about when there's so many things in the world that you could be curious about.
When I first came in, I was very shy. And even with my language, I was like embarrassed of like saying things wrong. And it wasn't until I met Elizabeth Cardona, who I like honor so much. She has really pushed me to get out of my comfort zone, just dare myself to like do more and want more.
Was there a special mentor that you would like to mention?
There's so many. That's my problem. Michelle Murdy, Dr. Quadros Manila. Those people have really pushed me to continue to become curious, and that's why I decided to change my major. That's why I decided to become a director of a production and to do things that I really, really never thought I would be in.
I didn't play sports in high school. That wasn't really like what I wanted to do. It wasn't my interest. It wasn't until I got to Bay Path and I started talking with some of the students here and started talking with some of the coaches, and they're like, this is something, like, if you want to try, like, this is the time to do it. 3 years later, I'm the captain for the sport. They really are family. Knowing that you have a team behind you, not only while you're playing, but for academic support, for emotional support, for whatever you're going through, they're there. And it's a really humbling experience.
Bay Path offers so much, and it just takes you to get those opportunities, to take those opportunities.
My advice to first years is be yourself, as corny as that sounds, because nobody else is like you. And be open, because the person you're going to be your first year is not who you're going to be your senior year.
Step out of their comfort zone, try new things.
Be organized and get involved.
I know that coming into college can be scary. I know that it can be nerve-wracking. Getting involved can maybe lose those nerves that you've had of being here, and it will help you create friends.
Great job, Jay.
Thanks.
All right, cut.
Good.
Ish.
Free as a bird in the sky, that is what you are.
I'm glad you're back.
Breathe and you know you're alive. Feel the beat of your heart. Move with the time that you have. The world will keep spinning right. Don't wait for tomorrow. Live for today. Keep chasing the sunshine.
Thank you to Rebecca Capuano and her team for producing that incredible video. And thank you to each of you for your presence here this morning. Thank you for choosing Bay Path University. A reminder that our seniors and our new students are to gather on the lawn immediately after this for your class photos. And will you now please rise and remain standing during the festive recessional? Have a wonderful year.